There are so many interesting, horrifying, or downright weird things in this big world of ours.
Each week, we'll bring you a new true crime story that has little to no coverage in English.
Let us do the translations, so you don't have to. I'm Laura.
I'm Petra.
And I'm Viktória. Welcome back to the podcast Translation Murder. So today it's my turn to tell you a story, and we've actually got a pretty dark one, maybe not in the usual way. There's basically no murder or any crime in this story, but there's still a lot of urban legends and some mystery and some tragedies here. So I was thinking that this is still probably a good story for a true crime podcast, even if there's no kind of traditional crime happening here. But you can tell me afterwards if you agree. So we will be talking about a Hungarian song that became very famous in the mid-20th century. This song is called Szomorú Vasárnap, or Gloomy Sunday in English, and is also known as the Hungarian suicide song.
And this song Petra's husband made me sing during Petra's birthday party.
Yes.
Yeah,
I was
because he thought I
wondering
would-
if you want to tell this story. Why are we talking about this song, or how did this come up? And have you heard
Yeah.
about it before we had this discussion at Petra's birthday party?
No, I'd never heard about this song ever. And then I was like, should I know this song? And then I was like, well,
Yes.
I like to sing Gloomy Sunday. So it was very, very low. And it was,
I mean, it was
good.
a
A fun song.
especially since you never heard it before, apparently.
Yeah, it was fun to sing, kind of improv the song at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun, to do in karaoke also songs that you don't know. I didn't know that either, so I was like, this might have just been the best interpretation of the song or the worst. Who knows?
But then apparently you knew the song, right? That's why he chose it, I assume.
Guess.
Yeah, because he wanted all of us, the three of us, to sing it. He's like, Translation Murder Podcast.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay.
Should
yeah,
we know
I don't think
this?
anybody. Yeah, should we know this?
Yeah,
Is
I
this-
think.
is this-
Well, I mean, I don't know. It's not like you should know this, but it is pretty famous internationally too.
Yeah.
So, but then, I mean, of course, it was more, or it became famous a long time ago. So it's not like it's really, something that is played in the radio often or anything. But I mean, it has this even nowadays, this kind of dark, edgy kind of culture around it. So a lot of people still know it now, and there's a lot of covers, but I don't think it's kind of something that you must know. But you will know a lot about it after today.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that it's probably true for the listeners as well, that maybe some people actually heard about this song before, or maybe they heard about the urban legends that surround the song, but perhaps fewer people know about how the song was created, or the life of the composer, kind of the circumstances, how this came to life. And I mean, in this podcast, we try to talk about stories that are not really covered in English. And this one it's probably not true for this story. So I'm not going to claim that this is not covered in English at all. You can definitely find a lot of articles about this online in English and in a lot of other languages too. But there's also a lot of kind of misinformation. And now I tried my best to collect the factual stuff. I don't know, probably kind of the researcher speaking in me, but I don't want to claim that everything is 100% factual in this. I really tried my best to kind of pick out those things that are not, just hearsay and made up things. But I will also just try to mention whenever there's something that I'm like, I don't know, this came up in some sources, but I couldn't really confirm it 100%. But I was thinking before we get into the kind of urban legends around the song, I will start with the man behind the music. So the composer of the song, his name is Rezső Seress. His original name was Rudolf Spitzer, but then he changed it at some point. He also, later you will hear in the story that he became quite famous internationally, but does the name ring any bells to you?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, I don't.
But he had
I'm not
but he had a very
surprised. But
German name before that. Rudolf Spitzer. Like, sounds very...
yeah, he was Jewish, so I think maybe like I think Spitzer is a
Yeah,
Jewish name.
possibly.
I think it is. Yeah. So then, well, that's kind of part of the reason why he ended up changing it, I assume. But I also didn't exactly find the time when he started using Rezső Seress, but that's how he is known now. So he was born on November 3rd, 1889. And already the conflicts with the sources start here, because some sources say he was born in 1899. But I'm pretty sure it was actually 1889, but you might find both dates. It's not super crucial for the story, but I don't understand why this is so mixed up in the different articles.
Yeah,
But
it's quite
probably
a
89.
big difference, but maybe just a spelling mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But really, like half of the articles say 99, other half says 89. And then I ended up finding this kind of like statue or this kind of plate or like a thing. Plaque. Yeah. On the, I think on the wall of the house where he used to live or something like that. And there it said 1889. So I'm pretty sure that should be
I think that's probably the best bet. Yeah.
So a little bit about his early life. As a young child, he was much more interested in kind of fun, artistic activities than his studies. So he left school pretty early and he joined a circus. And in this circus, during one of the practice sessions, as he was performing an aerial gymnastics exercise, he fell from very high up and got really, really badly injured. So badly that they say that it was kind of a miracle that he even survived this accident. So he was in the hospital for a long time after this. So after the accident, he, instead of continuing with the circus, he went to study acting in Budapest. And after he graduated from the acting school in 1920, he started working as part of a theater company in Budapest. So he was working there for like about 9 years, but the roles were very few and far between. So overall, he had very little money, and among all these hardships and kind of a little bit miserable, like pretty poor actor lifestyle in the early 20s, his only kind of escape was playing the piano. So when he was sad, he was often playing his own compositions just for himself in the backstage of the theater. He was actually a self-taught pianist, so he learned by himself how to play the piano, and eventually he continued doing this, and the director of this theater company noticed his playing, and he decided to put his songs on the program of the theater. So through this, he started becoming quite well known, at least among those people who were going to the theater. But he was for a long time kind of struggling to become more successful or more well known to the general public, because after the end of the First World War, the record industry was in decline in Hungary. I found that actually after the Trianon Peace Treaty, or peace dictate, how Hungarians usually refer to it, vinyl production was banned in the country, so they couldn't kind of distribute music that way through vinyl.
Why?
Yeah. Was it just like wartime ration kind of stuff, or?
But after the peace treaty, you said?
Yes, I didn't think you will be so interested in this piece of information.
Sorry,
Why
we always-
vinyl production was banned, I don't know.
We can always
It was.
sense it. We're like, Victoria doesn't know the dirty details, so we should just ask her the questions. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know exactly like why this was part of that, but for a while it was banned.
Okay.
But it is interesting, yeah.
Yeah. So by the mid-1920s, a couple of his songs started becoming pretty popular, nevertheless, especially among kind of working class people. And so at this time he was still working at the theater, but then soon he decided to leave and eventually took a job as a pianist in a high-end restaurant in Budapest that came with a regular salary. It actually came with a pretty good salary because it allowed him to buy an apartment. And also, it was mentioned that also a winter coat. I'm sure he also bought other stuff, not just a winter coat and an apartment. But I mean, like he started getting a regular, like pretty good income through
That's
that.
such a funny pair. I mean, I understand that back in the days, clothes weren't as cheap as we've used to, but still like apartment and a winter coat.
Yeah. But also I found it funny that, so he got a job which paid pretty well, and then he could just buy an apartment. Like, I don't know, just thinking about it from today's perspective. I mean, it doesn't say if he took a loan. Maybe he did.
Yeah, I would assume that he has some type of loan. But what about the down payment? How long was he working at this restaurant before he bought the apartment?
Good question.
And the winter coat.
Good question.
And I want to know the florins, how much it was.
I don't have any of those answers. I'm sorry.
God damn it.
So between the mid-1920s and 1930s was his most fruitful musical era. He wrote a lot of lyrics to other people's music, and he also composed a lot of his own songs. So he was pretty like getting kind of well known through his music, but mostly kind of his audience was kind of working class people. And I found it funny that a lot of the newspapers who were reporting about him were so focused on his height, because he was a pretty short man.
Okay.
He was 156 centimeters tall. So that would be like 5'1", I think.
Yeah.
So that means shorter than me.
Yeah. Okay.
But of course, people were a bit shorter back in the days.
Yeah.
But
I think he was
giant.
kind of like a lot shorter than average.
Yeah, I guess for a male especially.
And they didn't have a thing called a short king back in those days, so you couldn't be a...
True.
Yeah,
but they called him in the newspapers the little grandmaster of composition.
Wow, that's such a... Oh, it's such a condescending name.
Well, I mean, this is my translation, but that was kind of the gist of the name.
Oh, wow. What is that in Hungarian? I'm curious.
What was it? A zeneszerzés kis nagymestere. So like grandmaster would be nagymester, like big master, and then they put little in front
Little
of that.
big master.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And also people kind of generally called him or referred to him as the little Seress.
That's so bad. So bad.
Yeah.
I would be gloomy about that.
Well, yeah.
Like,
people who knew him described him as this kind of funny, like happy, chatty guy on the outside, but also someone who was pretty melancholic on the inside, which you can kind of tell from his music. And the topics of his music were showing this, like they were usually about hopeless love, unattainable happiness, sentimentality, like these kind of things that resonated pretty well with people. And also, of course, the early 30s, where we are currently, it was already characterized by an economic crisis worldwide, so Great Depression era, with, sky high levels of unemployment and all that. So this is something that maybe added to the gloominess of the music, but also like the people living in that era.
it just kind of reminds me, like, he was this actor type of guy, performer, but yet he also, I don't know, kind of reminds me of a lot of actors, like the personalities you have, like Robin Williams, who was like very outwardly, jolly and etc., but then had like some deep shit going on inside.
Yeah, exactly.
And he was like very known for his comedy roles.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So I think in that regard, it's just a very good front. Like when you have someone who's overly comedic or something like that, or known as the comedian, it's like you always have to wonder what's going on inside.
Yeah, that's very true. And I was thinking the same thing when I was doing the research for this story, that it sounds exactly like one of those cases when someone seems to be this like comedic, like super fun person, and then they're actually really depressed.
Yeah.
So now we slowly get to Gloomy Sunday. So around this time, actually, I think exactly, but there's some conflicting sources also about this date. But I'm pretty sure that in 1935 was when he agreed to compose music to László Jávor's lyrics for Gloomy Sunday. So László Jávor was a poet, and he had this poem, Gloomy Sunday, written, and he asked Seress to compose music for his poem. The original Hungarian lyrics, or the poem, is about or tell the story of a man who's mourning the death of his lover and kind of contemplating suicide and longing to reunite with her in the afterlife.
Happy.
Yeah. And then especially, like this type of lyrics combined with the pretty haunting music that was then together, that became the song that is so famous now, was kind of, I don't know, it made it very beautiful, but also pretty unsettling at the same time. So Seress said that, okay, he's going to write the music, but it apparently took him quite a while to do it. And then when he was done, the first time he played the music to Jávor at a coffee house, who really liked it immediately. But interestingly, because Seress was a self-taught pianist, he didn't know, and even later he never learned musical notation. So whenever he was writing music, he was just kind of humming it or whistling the music, but he didn't kind of write the musical notation in the classical sense. So after this was done, the melody was done, they asked the music academy graduate to write the score based on whistling.
Oh,
That's cool, though.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's like the opposite of Sibelius. Like, I think he just wrote. He never actually played when he was composing, because he was hearing it through the notes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, cool.
Yeah. I found it really interesting too, because of course, he could teach himself how to play the piano and not really necessarily focus that much on the kind of, writing it down or the classical way of learning right away. But then I found it more interesting that apparently even later he never learned
Yeah.
how to do
I guess don't fix what's not broken,
it. Yeah.
That's his style.
Yeah, it's just if he just got notes, he couldn't play it right. So someone had to whistle it to him or
Yeah.
something before he could repeat it. If he
Yeah.
needed to play someone else's music.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I don't know if he was only playing his own music, but
Yeah.
I don't think that's likely. If he was working at a restaurant, I'm sure he was playing other stuff too.
Yeah, but then maybe he was just playing some classics. Like you learn them and then you
Yeah.
can repeat them again and again.
Yeah, he probably had a really good memory, auditory memory for
Yeah,
these
yeah.
things.
Yeah, I'm sure. But yeah, so once this was done, the song did not become an immediate success. But after a few weeks, the director of the Hungarian radio, Ernő Szöcs, promised that they will put the song on the radio program, sung by a very famous singer at the time named Pál Kalmár, which I didn't know before, but he was a very famous singer in the era. So they were expecting that, okay, now a lot of people will get to know this song through the radio in Hungary. But unfortunately, and there are a lot of similar tragic turns in this story, the same day when the song was supposed to be aired, the director suddenly died. So this was cancelled.
Fuck. What are
Just
the chances?
randomly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Cursed song. Is this where the lore starts?
Yeah. Well, exactly. And then pretty soon after this, I think some people still got the song. Once the musical sheet was written, it started spreading around. I'm not exactly sure how this happened at that time, but pretty soon after this, so after they were expecting this radio appearance, within a couple of weeks, word got around that there was a maid who killed herself with the sheet of Gloomy Sunday lying next to her body. So they found her like that with Gloomy Sunday there, and it got into the media that, I don't know, there must be some sort of a connection. And even the composers and the writer of the lyrics, they didn't understand how she had the sheet, but that was kind of the first suicide story that was attached to this song. And then soon, sorry.
No,
go
I was
ahead.
just thinking, like, because usually, I don't know, not usually, but sometimes with the music, they have like the lyrics and then also the sheet music written out on
Yeah.
top. So it wasn't actually the music part that made her commit suicide, but just probably the lyrics, unless she was equally as skilled as, you know, Sibelius or something, like can hear the notes in her head. So
Yeah.
Maybe. Or someone played it already somewhere.
And then she
Yeah,
just
maybe
randomly
some
had the
place.
notes there.
yeah,
I don't know. That's what I mean,
yeah.
that a lot of these things are, you know, like mentioned in the articles, but then a lot of the context is missing,
Yeah.
and not everything can be really confirmed. So that's kind of what I found.
So we should put our skeptics hats away and just go with the flow, is what you're saying.
Yeah. I think so. This one and then the next one come up often, but then everything else is a little bit like, who knows?
Okay. Yeah.
So a week after this, there's another story that gets to the media that an advisor to the treasury shot himself in the heart sitting in a taxi, and they also found Gloomy Sunday next to him.
Sitting
So
in a
this-
taxi?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, was it a driving taxi? There's no details.
I don't know.
I'm just imagining, did they take any, you know, the paraffin test or whatever to see if he was the one that shot himself, or was he just killed? And then there's actually, I have a theory instead. Whoa. Okay.
okay,
So what
tell us.
what about what about if like there's a serial killer and it's the Gloomy Sunday serial killer
That
who
he
his
leaves the
calling card
note.
and he leaves the notes and he makes it look like a suicide.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my theory.
We solved it. It
I
was a
mean,
murder
so-
after all.
Well, I don't know. It's I guess it's not impossible.
Yeah, exactly. It seems so unlikely and so movie-like that, you know, truth is stranger than fiction, right?
Yeah. But then why?
Because maybe he was like, I don't know, maybe it was kind of like all the other people were sad and then he's like, I'm going to kill them. And so they can be reunited, or, you know,
Yeah.
maybe, I don't fucking know.
Well, I'm just gonna say
I didn't get that far.
that there's no one thinks this is the case. So everyone just thinks that these were suicides. I think actually the maid drank some, I don't remember what it was, but some sort of acid or something like that. So that's how she committed suicide. I'm not saying that's impossible to do if
could-
it's not a...
Force feed her. Yeah, I think that's more likely.
I mean, if she's a maid, you just give her cup of
drink.
tea and say, drink
Yeah.
it, please. Why would she
Yeah.
say no? It's like, yes,
Yeah.
master.
I think there's something to the serial killer. I think we need to investigate
be.
this bit.
Could be. Well, I mean,
Should
sure.
this be a two-parter?
Kind of, I find it kind of interesting that after how there's like, you know, so many crazy stories around this song, this is not one of them.
Yes, we created a new
before.
one.
Yay!
But people assume that these were suicides. So that's all I can tell you, but I don't know for sure. So maybe you're right.
Yeah.
But so there are these first two cases, and that, you know, like first it gets into the newspapers on a national level. So it kind of gets, like this whole sensationalizing starts, that what is going on with this song? People are committing suicide and finding this song next to it, even though, I don't know, like the Seress was pretty disappointed about it, because of course that was not how they wanted the song to be popular or to get well known, but this is how it started happening. But then very soon after this got into the news on a national level, also international newspapers started picking it up. and they were calling it the suicide hymn. And yeah, so just kind of started reporting about these really curious cases, and they became wilder and wilder. I read that even the New York Times published an article about the song where they slightly exaggerated and wrote that in Budapest, crowds threw themselves into the Danube at the sound of the song. And that basically,
So now it's like a what that
Okay,
group
that part's not a
suicide?
serial killer. Yeah, that part I don't claim is a serial killer. No, yeah, no.
but some sources say that like hundreds of people ended their life. Like somewhere I read that in Hungary, 300 people committed suicide and they found this song, and like internationally, hundreds of people too, like in the States and whatever. So it kind of started
Yeah.
becoming this whole crazy story that was definitely, well,
False.
it cannot really be confirmed that this would be true.
Maybe they added an extra couple like zeros onto the number, like
Maybe.
3 people, and then changed to 300. I don't. Yeah.
And I mean, this is one of those things that they start reporting these kind of numbers, and then maybe some people are already depressed and they want to commit suicide, then they are like, okay, let me get this song, and then they actually find.
Yeah, of course. I don't think the assumption is here like, I had the best time of my life, but I heard this song, must commit suicide.
I mean, the assumption in
Or
some
I
of
don't
the
know.
sources is something like that. So I've also seen this like, listen with caution, because once people
Wow.
hear this song, like by the time you get to the end, you will fall into this deep depression and commit suicide and these kind
it's-
of like crazy stuff.
So it's kind of like The Ring, you know, like if you watch the movie
Yeah.
7 days later, you're gonna die.
Yeah.
So by the end of this song, you will die.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But everyone who attended my birthday are still alive. But I don't know.
Oh, true.
Maybe I should
Is
ask
it a year?
how they
Is it like
are.
yeah. Have you been in contact with everybody? Everybody?
No.
Oh no. Oh no. Yep.
Should ask
you need
to
like,
make
have
your
you been
rounds.
depressed lately?
Yeah.
Have you been hearing the song Gloomy Sunday playing in your head? You know?
I hope that your
like-
version was so far away from the original that it doesn't have the effect. I have
mean,
no
if
idea.
everyone's still alive, then it was probably far enough just
was
to
comical.
prevent death.
It was comical enough that people, didn't find it so gloomy, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, but like obviously a lot of this is just kind of grossly sensationalized by the media. I found this one interesting story too, that when the song reached Paris, Ray Ventura, who was a famous French jazz pianist, does it ring any bells? Okay. I also didn't know the name. So he started performing this song in 1936, so that would be the next year after it came out, with his band in Paris. And they added some really provoking theatrics to the performance. So it went like that at the first chorus, the drummer would get up and pretend to shoot himself in the head. and then after the next one, the trumpeter with like, I don't know, pretended to stab himself in the chest. And then a waiter would just come to the stage and bring a cup of poison to the sax player. So then he died as well. And eventually the last one was this Ventura guy on the stage, playing until the final verse, when they would lower a noose from the ceiling and he would pretend to hang himself.
Oh
Wow.
dear, that's a show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at this time, had they translated the song to French then when they were playing?
Probably, yes. I read that in the first couple of years it was already translated to like 20-something languages, so I think so.
They were like, we have to give the opportunity for all the nationalities to commit suicide to this song.
Yeah. I mean, people just got really interested in it, so that's why.
Yeah,
But
I guess.
yeah, I'm sure not everyone believed that he will, die after hearing it. A lot of people just like liked the song, like kind of resonated with them, but
Yeah.
So yeah, this story I've read in a couple of articles, but again, this is one of those that I can't really say that this definitely happened like this, but it comes up several times, so there might be something to it.
So was this the composer, the Rezső, happy then at this point? I mean, now it's getting...
No, I don't think he was
Okay.
happy. Like, I think he was actually pretty sad that the song became famous like this. And also the other guy who wrote the lyrics, they were not happy about this at all. So, yeah.
I would just be happy that like people would, you know, find it so, I don't know, not heartfelt, but so emotionally, I don't know, emotional, I guess is the word, or yeah, that I think that would make me feel good, especially like the sadness of the song and the lyrics and stuff, that your love dies and you want to reunite with them. That's, I don't know, the premise of the song is good.
Yeah.
So,
But I think
yeah.
what kind of made it difficult for them to be happy about it was this like really like media sensation around it, and just calling it the suicide hymn and the Hungarian suicide song, and that it makes people kill themselves.
Yeah,
basically.
then you
They were
start
not
by the
happy
little
about that
master.
part.
Yeah.
Yeah. You start to feel responsibility for the deaths as if you had caused it.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't think they believe that they really caused.
Yeah, but kind of how they
suicides,
were,
but-
well, not framed, but how they were
Yeah.
presented.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, it comes up several times in these accounts that probably just this Great Depression era and like poverty and the looming threat of war and all that really added to the vibe, so to speak. So kind of people were anyways, you know, like not in their happiest era, and this matched that really well. So that was probably another reason why this became so popular quickly. And then, of course, it was really a taboo to have a song about suicide. So, like talking about suicide, it was not really a thing. So I would assume that this made it kind of outrageous and exciting. So, yeah, that's another reason why people wanted to hear it. But I also read, and cannot confirm 100%, that the song's reputation grew so infamous that some radio stations even banned it, or at least banned specific versions of the song, so it could be played without the lyrics, just the music. I also read that, for example, the BBC banned it for 60 years altogether.
Wow.
That
English.
seems extreme.
They were really worried about the mental health of the English people.
Yeah.
Maybe they knew something, like all English people are a bit depressed and more prone to suicide. I don't know.
Yeah.
That was just conjecture completely and kind of a joke, but
I found a couple of article clippings from the time. One was talking about, I think this is from the States probably, that a boy committed suicide. Boy suicide had death song. This is the title of the article. And it says, relatives of Floyd Hamilton Jr., 13 years old, whose body was found hanging in the living room of his home yesterday, said today that the boy had in his pocket the words of Gloomy Sunday, a song which was blamed for many suicides in Hungary. And then some more about this. And then there was another article clipping about the banning question from the US. It says, Gloomy Sunday song may be banned in US. A song hit which is sweeping Europe may be banned in the United States if a motion by Representative Carl Stephan of Nebraska is adopted by Congress. The song is Gloomy Sunday, which has spread all over Europe from Budapest, reputedly leaving a trail of depression. Wait a second, I need to read this again. Trial. What should this word be?
Maybe trail.
Trivial. I'm just thinking of all the words that kind of have trial.
Trial, but why would that make sense? A trial of depression.
Trail of depression sounds more like it.
Trial.
Yeah, it looks like you just switched the A and the I, so trail of depression. TRAIL, trail.
trail, like it
Yeah,
leaves a
but that's not how
trail.
it's written. So I guess it's a typo then in the article.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, I'll restart this part.
Yeah.
I got distracted
No, it's
by
funny.
the typo
Like we should shame the person who had that horrible typo.
from
Yeah.
the 30s.
Yeah. It probably cost too much to change it at that point.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
you
true.
know.
The song is Gloomy Sunday, which has spread all over Europe from Budapest, reputedly leaving a trail of depression and suicide in its wake. In an interview, Mr. Stefan said that he had not himself heard the song, but he would make a point of doing so, and if it was as depressing as it was said to be, he would raise a motion in Congress. So it kind of sounds like, I don't know if he really meant to do anything about it. He was like, if it's really that bad, then I can. But anyway, they talked about it in the media that this may be banned because it's so bad.
Yeah. So that was just kind of media making it bigger than what was actually happening.
I also found it interesting that, so I think after they translated it to English, there were two versions. They were pretty similar, but one of the versions added a third redemptive verse to the lyrics, where the lover who is like singing the song or telling the story kind of pulls back from the brink, and after, so the last line is something like, or kind of not the last line, but towards the end it says, my heart and I have decided to end it all, and then the last verse that they added says something like, dreaming, I was only dreaming. So kind of hope is restored, and they make it a little bit more lighthearted with the last edit part.
Censorship. Meh.
Yeah, or
Not
just like,
even
no.
very like, okay, I don't know if that addition actually did anything.
Yeah, but
Such an abstract.
I don't know, it kind of sounds a little bit happier towards the end, and also the original song was composed for the piano in C minor with a funeral march tempo. So, yeah.
Okay.
But most of the English covers also include this last, more hopeful verse that is usually played in a major key. So it does make it a little bit happier.
The classic, you make a story and then you're like, it was just a dream.
Yeah, very creative.
Yeah.
And maybe you know, or at least I think we talked about it after your birthday, Petra, that the most famous English version was recorded by Billie Holiday in 1941. And
But I was just looking that Sinead O'Connor also has a version.
yeah, Björk
yeah.
too.
Wow. I think I have to spend the whole night just listening to all the versions.
Different versions.
Yeah.
There's a
We'll
lot
check.
of them.
We'll check in with you tomorrow morning, Petra.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if you don't respond after an hour, we'll be worried. Yeah.
I mean, I have a family, so probably they will notice if I start acting weirdly.
I hope so.
True.
But yeah, don't listen to all the versions. Just a little bit from everything.
Especially maybe not the Hungarian version, because that seems a bit more potent.
True.
Yeah.
But then again,
I'm
I don't
sure it is.
understand Hungarian, so maybe it doesn't affect me.
I don't think it matters. No,
The
No.
Finnish
Sure, it
version is
affects you.
horrible.
There's a Finnish
Whatever that-
version?
There is a
Yeah.
Finnish
Oh!
version. Yeah.
Yeah. At least the version I heard was very, very like kind of rocky.
I think there's more than one Finnish version.
Oh
actually.
dear,
Yeah.
this will be a long
Yeah.
night. I wonder if this Japanese must be Japanese version too.
Must be.
Yeah.
I could totally see that.
I was
yeah.
wondering that too. I didn't find it, or like I was looking at a list of kind of different translations or different covers, and I didn't find any Japanese ones. But it doesn't mean that there isn't one. There might be.
Yeah.
Also, I wanted to add that I think that the English translation is, I don't know.
Shit.
It's not shit, but it's just not like very accurate. It kind of captures the gist of the lyrics, but
Not the essence of the song.
or I mean, I don't know. It kind of captures the essence, but it's not. It's definitely not a direct translation. So there's a lot of So if you want to, I'm just saying this to everyone who's listening to this, that if you're really interested in the original lyrics, then Google the Hungarian one and then maybe put it in a translator. Or I'm sure there are also kind of more like closer translations online about the lyrics. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to the life of the composer after this song a little bit. There's some more depressive stuff happening here, so you must know about these as well. soon after the song gained international fame, the Second World War started. And even though Seress was by that time pretty well respected abroad, he was also Jewish. And in Hungary soon the Jewish laws came. So he became unemployed pretty soon after the Jewish laws were introduced. And he was even like beaten in the streets. And quite soon after that, his mother was deported to a concentration camp, and she never returned from this camp. And Seress was also sent to a labor camp where he had to work on minefields. They basically made him check the minefields. And how he got out of the concentration camp, because he did, was that I think there was this incident where some German soldiers were beating him up, and maybe he would have died at that point when another German soldier from like a higher ranking soldier emerged, and he was saying something like, I'm gonna kill this guy myself, or something like that. So he pulled him away from the scene behind the building, and then he was like, oh, I'm sorry, actually I noticed, or I recognized you because I used to go to this restaurant or the cafe or something in Budapest where he was playing. So he recognized him as the famous pianist, and he wanted to save his life. So he gave him clothes and started hiding him. So that's how he actually survived the labor camp.
This kind of reminds me of the movie The Pianist. There's this movie.
Yeah.
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 Okay. Wow.
Yeah, it's interesting how the era of Holocaust is full of these individual stories where a random Nazi decides that either they decide that they want to be a human, but they have to do it secretly, or they have their own weird values, like, well, I like this person, so I want to save them, despite of me hating everyone they represent.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, that's
yeah.
like racism 101, kind of
Yep.
like, oh, I hate all these people, but you're a good one.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
And then
that one you
obviously
are.
everyone, if you would know everyone
Yeah.
on the same level, then you would recognize that, well, maybe all of them are normal, good people.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess well, you can decide later, but I guess he kind of got lucky with this. And then he eventually returned home. But then, unfortunately, his life did not become much happier after that. So first of all, while he was away, his wife started a relationship with another man. But after he returned, she decided to end that relationship. So they ended up staying together. So I guess that's a good thing. But he was obviously still very poor at this point, which is kind of the most ironic part in this, is that it turned out that by 1945, so he returned home, and then by that time, he had $370,000 waiting for him in the United States for royalties on an account.
Wow. And what's the conversion rate of that day?
I should have converted. It's millions of dollars.
Yeah, millions.
Then you
Easily millions.
would be able to buy the apartment without a loan, I would say.
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
a couple of them.
Please don't tell me he commits suicide. Please tell me he...
So
oh,
this
God.
money was waiting for him in the States, but unfortunately they couldn't transfer it to Hungary because it was just not possible at the time to transfer the money. So he would have had to go there in person and take it. But he didn't have enough money to travel to the United States to get the money. And he was also apparently terrified of flying. He had a dream once, again, not confirmed. I just read this somewhere, that he had a dream once that he will die falling from somewhere.
I mean, his past trauma from falling from a tightrope or whatever
Probably.
Yeah.
probably had a bit of a to play.
Yeah, very true.
Okay. Could he have, there wasn't anyone in the USA who could bring them to him?
Yeah, like bring the money to him
And
Well, I
or
guess
or
apparently
like
not.
buy the ticket or okay. All right, okay. Sorry. I feel nervous now.
Yeah, so he ended up staying in Hungary. He never went to get the money. And even in the autumn of 1956, so during the Hungarian Revolution, he didn't emigrate, even though a lot of people were urging him to do so because he was not very, well, he was not anymore, he was kind of out of fashion in Hungary already by that time. Like his type of music was not that popular. He was much more well respected abroad. And also, the music, kind of the classical music community in Hungary was like always rejected him fully because he was not a classically trained musician. So they were just kind of looking down on him and thinking that this guy is not a real musician. So kind of he even though he was popular with the general public, he was never really accepted in this musician community. So he never left. Yeah, unfortunately, his life didn't become much more happier. He continued to struggle with depression throughout the rest of his life. And then he isolated himself from the public completely. So he was mostly sitting at home, making music for himself. And yeah, even though he was proud of the success of Gloomy Sunday, he was always protesting against this fact that people were committing suicide because of the song, and found this narrative really disappointing. So now the almost last really dark turn in the story, as you might have guessed, in 1968 he ended up committing suicide himself. He jumped off the balcony of his apartment at the age of 78, but he survives the fall.
What the fuck?
he just have this body structure that survives falls.
Maybe he just relaxes fully and he doesn't break any serious bones or something. He's just I don't know. Wow.
So he survived, and he was taken to the hospital, and there in the hospital on the 12th of January 1968, he ended up strangling himself with the wire that was holding his plaster in place. So that's how he died.
Wow.
So he really wanted to die
Yeah.
at this point.
But so he never got any of the money ever. Even by the 60s, they could have easily transferred,
Yeah,
money,
true. Like,
right?
didn't anything change in that sense?
Yeah. Because, like, I guess the 40s, like the 40s would have been difficult, especially with the international, like, craziness that was going on, from World War II. But then by the 60s, like, international
But then
travel was a
again,
thing.
Hungary was a socialist country at that point already.
Yeah.
True.
I don't really have an answer to this. I didn't find this, or this didn't come up. So the only time it comes up is that he was really struggling, but then there were the royalties in the States and he didn't get the money, and then he ended up staying in Hungary. But I don't know if he maybe got some of it later.
Yeah.
Probably didn't make him, happy.
Yeah. No.
Still.
Yeah. But yeah, wish he would have taken a boat then to go to the States in that regard. I don't know.
Yeah. So it's a really tragic story, and I hated that some articles that kind of focus on the sensational aspect and the suicide song and that aspect of the story say that, and then the composer himself ended up committing suicide, maybe because
There's-
of the song. But obviously,
No.
like if you hear the life story, it's pretty clear why
Yeah.
he was depressed. It's not because of the song, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
Well.
I found it also interesting, last bit of interesting information for you, that there's an alternative lyrics to the song, which, again, some conflicting sources. Some articles say that this was the original lyrics, and then they changed it to the current, like, Gloomy Sunday lyrics. But I don't think that's true. I think the correct, or the fact is that he wrote, so Seress himself wrote alternative lyrics to the song after the Second World War, or after he returned home, which was titled Vége a világnak. That means the end of the world, or the world is ending. So that's not about romantic love anymore, but more about how the world is a really horrible place and
Yeah,
everything's
I agree.
miserable. And then I found picture of the old sheet music that has this alternative lyrics, and it says that it clearly says, like there's a handwritten note there, that this is kind of the new lyrics for Gloomy Sunday, and there's a date 1946. So I'm pretty sure that that's true, and it even says that he wrote these lyrics and the song. So I don't know, in case anyone finds this conflicting information, I'm just gonna note here that I think this is the true version.
Would
I
be
kind of would like to compare the lyrics.
yeah, would be interesting to hear the end of the world version, because like I can imagine that his worldview changes after experiencing Holocaust.
Yeah. I mean, I will put the picture on Instagram with the alternative lyrics, and I have heard the song also with those lyrics, but I'm not sure if that's translated to English.
Yeah.
I'm just imagining that like those lyrics are kind of more fitting to today's world as well. So or like how the current state of the world is. The world is fucked up.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean,
Maybe-
obviously, I can try to, maybe there's a translation already, so I can try to find it, and we can also put that on Instagram for
Yeah.
people to read,
Unless
and also
there's-
for you to read.
But then there'll be a resurgence of suicides because people maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, Instagram will
Relate to
block
that
the
more.
post for
Yeah.
being some pro-suicide or whatever.
Yeah. Or yeah. Natural disaster or something like that.
Death and injury.
Death and injury, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking that can we put a little segment of this song in the episode, or I'll just
Yeah.
link it somewhere.
Okay. But yeah, thanks for bringing this case.
Yeah, this was
Viktória.
interesting.
Yeah. Thank you for listening. And maybe we should put some notes about if you feel depressed, if you need help, reach
Yeah.
out to a healthcare professional.
Instead
Please
of
don't commit
listening to
suicide.
Gloomy Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah, or this podcast, unless it brings you joy. But,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, true. This is a depressing podcast.
Yeah. Also, just seek medical help. It helps. Meds help in the long run.
I also really, as my personal solution, I recommend reading about Stoicism. It's a good philosophy. It makes you less depressed.
Really.
Yes.
I just suggest going to the forest.
Maybe you can go to the forest and read a book about
And
Stoicism and
that would
have
be the
some
cure.
antidepressants.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
also go to therapy. So do all that.
Yeah.
Should hopefully help.
And look a dog in the eyes, because the serotonin that you get, or cat, or or a baby or something. I don't know. Yeah.
Just
We're not
their
medical
little
professionals.
beings in their eyes.
Yeah. Okay, great. Do you have a case for us next, Petra? Have you thought of something, or will it be a surprise completely?
I really haven't. Like, I have some short, funny cases, but I feel that they are more maybe for the news tangents. But
Okay.
I'll consider if any of them is like something that could be episode material.
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks for listening to the podcast. Once again, follow us on Instagram, email us at translationmurderpodcast@gmail.com. Yeah, thanks for listening again this week. Hei paralla.
Bye.
Bye.